You're good to go, Celeste.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Celeste Kitsemetry, and I'm a senior planner with the city's Development Services Department. The focus of tonight's meeting will be on the potential development application for a zoning bylaw amendment at 520 and 528 Big Bay Point Road. Please be aware that we are recording this meeting for the public record. All information provided is being collected and will be used for the purpose of garnering your input to respond to inquiries and to be notified of future meetings and will be considered public information. Should you have any questions regarding this collection, please contact the Development Services Department. I would like to let everyone know that there are staff behind the scenes managing the technology tonight. They have the ability to interrupt the meeting at any time and will endeavor to allow the applicant and each member of the public the opportunity to speak. Please bear with us if we have any issues. I can confirm that the number of participants on the call tonight is 21, and I just will check the attendees. And would like to welcome Councillor Jim Harris to the meeting as well. Tonight's meeting is not a statutory requirement under the Planning Act. The development proposal is still in the pre-consultation stages, meaning that no application has been submitted to the city for consideration. The intent of tonight's meeting is more to provide members of the public with the opportunity to become familiar with the development proposal and the planning review process, and also ask the applicant questions and get feedback. Tonight, during the virtual neighborhood meeting, you should expect to get a presentation from the applicant's representative describing the proposal, a brief overview of the city's review process and timing, and an opportunity to ask questions of either the applicant or city staff and provide comments or identify concerns with the proposed development. You should not expect that city staff will have recommendations on the application or a detailed analysis on this proposal. This will occur later in the review process once an application has been submitted. A debate on the merits of the proposal between city staff and the applicant will also not occur. Once we move on to the Q&A period, if you wish to ask a question or provide a comment, you will be required to use the meeting controls to raise your hand. You can find the raise your hand button and other meeting controls at the bottom of your screen. For those of you who are joining us by phone, you may press 9 to raise your virtual hand, and when you're called on to speak, you can press 6 to unmute yourself. You will be called by your name to speak, and then you will then need to unmute yourself, and then please clearly state your name and address and provide your comment or question. As we work through the questions and comments later in the evening, I respectfully request that members of the public avoid repeating the same questions and comments. Once a specific matter has been identified, it will be documented, and the applicant will either provide a response verbally this evening or provide a response later through the formal application process during the future public meeting or in a written format through their formal submission. This approach will allow us to have a more productive meeting and conclude the meeting as scheduled at 6:30 p.m. Members of the public may also wish to send me comments or questions via email after the meeting. My email is celeste.kitsemetry@berry.ca. Those who have registered for the meeting by providing a mailing or email address will be added to the mailing list to receive further information about the development proposal. Before we get into the presentation, I just wanted to quickly highlight the next steps in the application process and what you can expect after tonight's meeting. We are currently in the initial stages of the planning process. The proposal has gone through a pre-consultation technical review with a variety of city departments and external agencies, with the expectation that an application may be forthcoming. After tonight's meeting, the applicant will need to incorporate comments received at this neighborhood meeting and make a presentation through the public meeting process before the city's planning committee when an application has been submitted. The formal application submission will be reviewed with comments received from the city's technical departments and external agencies, as well as consideration of the public's input. This neighborhood meeting is established early in the development process to ensure local concerns are incorporated or addressed through the city's review. Following tonight's meeting and review of the formal application, a future public meeting will be scheduled with the city's planning committee. The public meeting is a statutory requirement under the Planning Act. Everyone who registered for tonight's meeting, as well as all property owners within 120 meters of the subject lands, will be notified of the public meeting. The public meeting will also be held virtually, similar to tonight's meeting. At the public meeting, the applicant's representative will present the applications to council and again answer questions. At the public meeting, the applicant will be required to identify that a neighborhood meeting has been held and provide an overview of and in response to the issues and questions identified at the meeting. Members of the public will again have the opportunity to provide either verbal or written comments at the public meeting. Following the public meeting, Following the public meeting, staff will continue the technical review process associated with the application, and the applicant may make any necessary revisions to the development proposal. Once the review process has concluded, a staff recommendation report will be brought forward to council for their consideration. All comments received through the review process, including those received at the neighborhood and public meeting, will be identified and addressed in the staff report and will form part of staff's recommendation on the application. So that's it for the planning application process and what you can expect after tonight's meeting. I will now move on to the applicant's presentation. And as I mentioned, the development proposal will be presented first, followed by a question and comment period. We have James Hunter from Innovative Planning Solutions with us this evening, and he will be presenting the development proposal on behalf of the property owner. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment application would seek to rezone the lands from residential single detached first density to residential apartment dwelling first density with site-specific provisions to permit the development of a 6-story apartment building containing 48 residential units. So on that note, I will now hand the meeting controls over to James Hunter to share his presentation. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Staff, Councillor Harris, members of public, and those in attendance tonight. My name is James Hunter, and I'm a senior planner with Innovative Planning Solutions here in Barrie. We're representing Morello Construction on behalf of this development. This neighborhood meeting allows our team an opportunity to present a zoning bylaw amendment application. This is to permit a residential apartment development at 520 and 526 Big Bay Point Road. As staff overviewed, I will provide a brief presentation of the development. Following this, I will turn it back over to staff and we will have a question and comments period. I'd just like to first thank everyone for attending tonight. The subject lands are located at 520 and 526 Big Bay Point Road. This is northeast of Big Bay Point Road and the Yonge Street intersection. 2 properties are subject to this application, which currently have a combined frontage of 65.4 meters and land holdings of 0.89 acres or 0.35 hectares. It's a diverse surrounding area, including Warnica Public School to the north. There are existing low density residential uses to the east. To the south, there's a 58-unit development of townhouses currently underway. And then further to the south are commercial uses. To the west, immediately adjacent is a residential single detached use. And then farther on to the west, we have a large variety of residential commercial uses, including the various commercial plazas and commercial strips. As I stated, this application applies to 2 properties at 520 and 526 Big Bay Point Road. Currently, there's a single detached dwelling on each property and access to each property. The subject lands are located within a designated intensification area and identified within a primary node according to the City of Barrie official plan. Target density of 50 to 120 units per hectare are targeted within these intensification nodes. And medium and high density residential development is focused to the nodes and corridors as identified on Schedule I of the official plan. Residential intensification is encouraged as it creates more compact development that will efficiently use land, resources, services, and infrastructure within the city. The property is currently zoned residential single detached R1 in the City of Barrie Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw, and this current zone permits low density residential uses. Therefore, we need a zoning bylaw amendment or rezoning to permit a higher density residential development. The zoning bylaw amendment being requested is a residential apartment dwelling first density, and we are anticipating that there will be minor site-specific provisions to the RA1-3 zone. The development concept contains a 6-story, 46-unit apartment building. The 6-unit building would have a building height of 16.85 meters and a density of 128 units per hectare. One access point is provided off Big Bay Point Road, and this is at the southeast corner of the site. 56 parking spaces frame the exterior of the site, and we're including 6 barrier-free spaces to the north closest to the building. Rear yard setback of 29.3 meters is proposed, interior side yards of 3.71 and 23.2 meters to the east. And landscape strips are provided to retain healthy boundary trees. There are also common walkways provided for site circulation, and 590 meters squared of amenity space is provided. This includes open landscape spaces at the rear of the building. In addition, we have pushed the built form right street side to increase setbacks to adjacent uses, including residential and the school to the north. For the zoning bylaw amendment application, there's a number of key technical studies that are required. For the zoning application, we are providing planning justification and a design brief, geotechnical report, traffic assessment, arborist assessment, which further includes tree inventory, analysis, preservation, along with architectural drawings, elevation, and a site plan. Detailed engineering drawings consisting of a functional servicing, stormwater management report, along with plans, energy conservation and efficiency assessment, along with a future application for site plan control, which it gets into more detailed aspects, photometrics, shadow analysis, wind microclimate assessment. In summary, zoning bylaw amendment application is required to permit a 6-story apartment building, and it would introduce 46 residential units, contributing to housing targets within the City of Barrie. Subject lands are located within a primary node where higher density residential uses and intensification is supported. The zoning bylaw amendment requested is a rezoning to the residential apartment first density, which is the RA1-3 zone. And this property is located near various commercial uses, amenities, services, restaurants, and services. The proposed development does conform with the goals and objectives of provincial and municipal legislation. I'd like to thank you for listening to my presentation, and I'm going to turn it back over to city staff now.
Thank you, James. The presentation is much appreciated, and I noticed that I was 2 units off, so my apologies to everybody. Tiffany and or Jen, can you please confirm we have just